In the first two parts of this business structure series, we had a look at the solopreneur size business, what a solopreneur business structure could actually look like, as well as what are the challenges and how to overcome them. In this episode, we're going to go one level up, which is the micro-sized business. What exactly is a micro-sized business? We're going to cover that, what a typical business structure would actually look like for a micro-sized business, as well as what are the challenges and how we can potentially overcome them so that we can grow the business to the next level. We're going to cover all the sizes. We're going to go from solopreneur, micro, small, medium, large, gigantic, ginormous. We're going to cover them all. But this one, we're focusing on the micro business. Right, let's not waste any more time. Hit it. If you are finding these videos valuable for you, I would appreciate you consider subscribing and hitting that like button, because it really does help the YouTube algorithm to show it to other people such as yourself who will hopefully find it valuable to them as well. But also it encourages me to do more of these videos. Let's have a look at what a micro-sized business actually means. It doesn't matter which country that you're based in, but for the purposes of this video, we're going to define a micro-sized business as a really tiny sized business that's not a solopreneur. In the UK, for example, they actually combine the solopreneur and the micro-sized business. The government will actually say a micro-sized business is defined as fewer than 10 employees inside the business, a turnover of less than £632,000, which is around about $850,000, or a balance sheet of less than £316,000, around about $450,000. As long as you satisfy two of those three criteria, then you would be defined as a micro-sized business. And there are around about 96% of all businesses in the UK, 5.7 million businesses in the UK are defined as micro-sized businesses. Now, like I said, it doesn't matter which country that you're in. I'm going to separate slightly the solopreneur and the micro-sized businesses for the purpose of this video, because it makes a slight difference in terms of the business structure and what kind of challenges potentially that you would have. So for the purposes of this video, I'm going to define a micro-sized business as having fewer than 10 employees, so single-digit employees, or even outsourced people, as well as a turnover of less than about $1 million, and you have a very small balance sheet. So we're talking about not a big team. We're talking about a team of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. Yes, I can count. So now we're starting to build a team. And this is where the business structure actually starts having a little bit more effect than a solopreneur-sized business. Now, when we are at a solopreneur-sized business, we still need to understand what kind of business functions that we're operating, as well as what the structures are, so that we can wear the different hats. But now we're beginning to have more people on the team. We need to start distributing things a little bit better. We still follow the same exact criteria of the pillars that I mentioned in the first two episodes. And if you haven't seen them, please go back and watch them, because they will make this episode make a lot more sense. So we have the CEO pillar, the product pillar, the customer pillar, as well as the business pillar. So what would a micro-sized business actually look like if we are going to start building a team? Now, with the customer pillar side of things, the create awareness, which is our marketing function, bringing in somebody in marketing as one of the first things that you would typically do. Now, this could entail content writing. This could entail actual looking at the strategy of your marketing strategy. It could be doing digital marketing in terms of providing the funnel and actually bringing in and attracting people and doing lead generation, as well as potentially looking at all the different aspects on digital marketing. And digital marketing now is blurring the lines a little bit with sales, but also one of the other aspects that gets hired out almost immediately, pretty much as you begin to scale, is potentially a salesperson as well. It's not clear cut that these are the first two that need to get hired out. However, a lot of people could actually just do marketing and maybe even after sales, and you potentially fit in as the person who does the sales in the middle. So after sales is an optional one. It's not a common one, but it depends again on the type of product that you're selling. If you're selling a software where there's a lot of after sales and a lot of customer inquiries, then you may hire out customer service, and that could be even something that's outsourced out, but it's still, they function as part of your team. So that is essentially the customer pillar. Right, let's have a look at the product pillar or the product unit. The first thing that typically gets hired out, whether it's outsourced or you hire in somebody for it, is usually the production side of things, somebody to help you with production. Now, if you are a software-based business, for example, you might hire developers. If you are a video editing business, you might hire video editors. If you are a content development company, you might hire out content writers. If you are a product-based business, you might actually outsource this out to manufacturing or build your own workshop and bring in an assistant or an apprentice or somebody who's even more skilled than you. So production is typically one of the first things that gets hired out. You could also, depending on the business that you're in, hire out somebody for distribution or even the R&D side of things where you're actually developing, coming up with new product ideas or service ideas. However, it doesn't really matter which one it is. What really matters in this scenario is that you are now beginning to understand that as a solopreneur before, you were wearing the hats of these people. You may still do a lot of these functions, such as the R&D, which is typically one that is sort of delayed in terms of like bringing in someone in, because you are usually the brains and the vision and the person who's come up with the idea, and you are constantly the person who wants to come up with newer ideas for your business. And the R&D is typically something that actually gets hired or built as a function inside your business quite late on. However, make sure that you still understand you are wearing the hat of the R&D person or the R&D function, and when it becomes financially viable for you to bring in someone to do and help you with the R&D, you should do so that you can focus on what you need to be doing to grow the business and to scale the business. So, as I mentioned, production is typically one of the first things that gets hired out as part of a micro-sized business, although it varies depending on the business. Right, let's have a look at the business operations pillar or the business unit, whatever you want to call it. It's the one that keeps your business ticking along effectively, efficiently, financially, legally. And what you want to do in this business unit as you begin to scale, the first thing that you do is typically, even as a solopreneur, you'll have hired an accountant as somebody who files your end of year sort of statements. However, as the business starts to grow and scale, it might be worth hiring out a bookkeeper as soon as possible, but also don't just outsource that out so that you don't have to worry about it and never look at the numbers. What you're trying to do at this case is actually beginning to understand, I need to be on top of my numbers. I need to have these numbers coming in. Somebody else can actually do all of the bookkeeping, all of the accounts for me, but I need to be on top of this so that I can actually make strategic decisions based on the budget and the finances that I have inside the business. So finance is typically one of the first functions that gets outsourced, as well as your admin, who you would have typically had as your assistant. Even as a solopreneur, that person still sticks along with you as well. You may also begin to start speaking to some legal representatives if you are beginning to have any trademarks inside your business or any kind of copyrights or any IP that you're beginning to think about. These are typically things that a lot of people outsource out, and maybe you have an assistant inside your business to help you with the admin and the management. That's typically your micro business structure, and you will be able to sort of have a look at that, and you begin to understand these are the things that I start prioritizing as people to bring into my team so that they can help relieve me of that sort of time that I have so that I can actually focus on strategy and being able to really put value back into the business and scale it to the next level. Let's have a look at what kind of challenges a typical micro-sized business has. Challenges, right. This is one that gets a lot of people, and even me. At some point, you sort of struggle as your business is growing because typically you will struggle to find time. That's one of the biggest challenges because the CEO of your business, you, are typically still doing a lot of stuff you shouldn't be doing. And as the business is growing and as it's scaling and as you're having even now a team that you should be focusing on and trying to get them to do stuff, you are struggling to try and get them to do stuff the way that you want it done because typically there are no systems and processes inside the business. Communication of your actual strategy is quite difficult because as a solopreneur, coming up with a strategy is one of the challenges. But now as a micro-sized business, it's not just sufficient enough just for you to have the strategy in your head. You've got a team now, you've got people inside your business, and they need to be aware of what your strategy is. They need to have that communicated. They need to align with that so that everyone is really working on a coherent plan to grow and scale your business. So challenges, actually communicating your vision and strategy, being able to have the right systems and processes in place, having enough time for yourself because you don't have the right systems and processes in place. Your team is not doing exactly what you would like them to do in the quality that you would like them to do it at, as well as not just now delegating, because delegating was a big challenge of the solopreneur sized business. But now you're beginning to have people and you're saying, right, I'm actually good at delegating. You know, I can tell them what to do. But 9 times out of 10, you're not delegating authority. You're not delegating accountability. You're not giving ownership to people to say, right, you own this. This is yours. This is your baby. Go away and sort of get it done based on the systems, the SOPs, the processes that we've got, the strategy that we've communicated, and let's all work together within a work culture that you have built. Now, what? Work culture? What? No, it's just 3 people. We just do a Zoom call. No. This is where you begin to start really beginning to work on your environment, the culture. How is the team going to function together? How are you going to actually start looking at competency gaps? Where do you need to have those gaps filled? Do you need to potentially provide training for people? How are you going to have your team communicating with each other? What tools are you going to start using? So these are big challenges where you begin to say, right, the working environment as a culture, as a team, the systems and the processes, the delegation of authority, the actual communication of your vision and strategy, a lot of these become big challenges inside your business. And in the next episode, we're going to actually start uncovering how to tackle these challenges so that we can fix the micro-sized business and grow into the small-sized business. Coming right up.